In January 2021, Singaporeans learned that police had access to TraceTogether data under the Criminal Procedure Code. This contradicted earlier assurances that the data was, quote, purely for contact tracing, period, end quote. The then minister in charge of the Smart Nation acknowledged he had been blindsided. He had not considered existing laws when making those assurances. The backlash was significant, not because Singaporeans opposed law enforcement, but because they felt misled about how their data would be used. The backlash led to the expedited passage in February 2021 of the COVID-19 Temporary Measures Amendment Bill, restricting access to 7 serious offence categories. The lesson is that trust must be built through demonstrably robust processes. Once faith in a data sharing framework is broken, it is expensive to rebuild. I raise this because the bill before us creates a new framework for sharing citizen data, this time with private entities. The question is whether we have learned from the TraceTogether episode. The original PSGA, passed in 2018, allowed government agencies to share data with one another under ministerial direction. This amendment expands that framework significantly. Data can now flow to private companies, contractors, and vendors, and it introduces a power to re-identify anonymized information. Speaker, of course, data sharing creates value. Examples abound, like the social service net. When MSF shares client data with family service centers and VWOs, we see coordinated assistance and faster assessments. But this bill creates a fundamental asymmetry. The government gains the capability to share any data with any private entity. Private entities gain access to government-held data. And what do citizens gain? Under this bill, a citizen has no right to know when their data is shared with a private company, no mechanism to find out which companies hold their data, and no way to ensure they benefit from the value that data creates. TraceTogether failed on transparency. Citizens did not know police could access their data. Why risk the same failure mode again with this bill on a larger scale, with more actors, including those outside government, and less visibility? If this bill expands what the government can do with citizen data, should it not also expand what citizens can do to track, to benefit from, and to govern that sharing?
Mr. Kenneth Tiong raised TraceTogether as a cautionary tale. Let me address this directly. First, on the facts. When the issue arose, the government came to Parliament, explained the position, and clarified the legal framework. That is accountability. We did not hide from scrutiny. We addressed it openly in this House. Parliament subsequently passed the COVID-19 Act to restrict the use of TraceTogether data to serious offences. So the system worked as it should. Second, TraceTogether did not undermine public trust in the way Mr. Tiong suggests. Singaporeans continued to use TraceTogether. They understood the government's explanation and the safeguards that were put in place. To characterize it as a fiasco that broke public trust is not borne out by how Singaporeans actually responded. The lesson from TraceTogether is not that government cannot be trusted with data. It is that when questions arise, the government must be accountable and transparent, and we were.
So I just want to clarify, because I think she may have misunderstood what was my fifth question. I was saying that there's no organizational statutory liability for those handling of non-personal data. And I think she made some references to contractual obligations as well as something about personal. So I just want to clarify that. Organizational statutory liability for non-personal data, does it exist or not?
I thank Mr. Tiong for his clarifications. I spent quite a bit of time just now explaining how organizations will be liable if they misuse data. There's an existing PDPA as well as terms of use.
Is a PDPA for personal data?
So In the same explanation in the speech, I went on to say that there are also contractual terms of use that public agencies must impose on external partners for the receiving and use of all data. Those terms of use will hold our external partners liable should they misuse the data.